At this point, Amarachi is almost dead with curiosity and thinks about asking the girls who they were talking about. But just then, she hears a voice singing and lamenting from a small distance ahead. It sounded like Akiti the village drunk. So Amarachi decides not to ask the girls anything, but rather go and find out who Akiti was singing about. When Amarachi arrives there, she sees Akiti sitting by the roadside, totally drunk and singing, clearly oblivious of the crowd that have gathered around him. Have you seen my lover? My sweet, sweet lover. The sugar in my tea. My sweet baby girl, come back to me, my dearest lover, come back my lover. Amarachi wonders who Akiti was singing about. Amarachi looks round at the crowd and sees Oge and her friends, standing right beside her and staring at her. Amarachi knows Oge doesn't like her, but can't understand why Oge is staring at her this way. My lover, shouts Akiti. Amarachi turns to see who Akiti was talking to. Akiti seemed to be looking up and pointing excitedly at her. Then she traces Akiti's finger carefully and sees he was pointing at Oge. Ojeki my lover, you have returned to me, shouts Akiti. Everyone turn and look at Ojeki. Ojeki is dumbfounded. I miss you so much Ojeki, continues Akiti. Oge finally regains her voice. Have you gone mad? Asks Oge angrily. Yes Ojeki, answers Akiti. I am madly in love with you Oge, says Akiti. At this point, everyone were now looking at Oge in a disgusting way and buzzing with murmurs and side talks. Oge is totally humiliated. Amarachi still doesn't understand what is going on. Amarachi turns to inquire what was going on from the person beside, but her eyes catches a figure standing some distance away. Amarachi looks closely, and sees a strange beautiful lady in a beautiful purple gown and jewelries, standing there looking directly at her. Amarachi tries to recall the lady's face. Please come back to me my love, pleads Akiti, who gets up and walks towards Oge with his arms stretched for an embrace. It dawned on Oge that it was not a game, that Akiti had actually lost his mind. She turns and runs off, and Akiti chases her. Amarachi turns to see the two of them making a public spectacle of themselves. Then she turns to look at the lady in purple gown. But she was gone, vanished without a trace. One evening Amarachi is washing clothes at the Iziagwe River. She fetches water with her silver water bucket, then carried both the water and washed clothes back home. On getting home and dropped them, she started spreading the clothes on a cloth line. When is done, she shears the water into two big buckets, and send one inside her grandparents' bedroom. Then the second one she carries into her own room. Suddenly, Amara sees a fish inside the bucket of water and is startled by the fish. Her grandmother walks in and sees Amara staring at the fish. When I fetched the water, there was no fish in the bucket, and not even when I sheared the water. But seconds after I dropped this one here, I saw this fish. This is a strange looking fish, and no one has seen this type of fish before in Iziagwe land. You have to send it back, and set it free in the river immediately, says her grandmother. Amara carries the small silver bucket back to the river and emptied its content back into the river, and heads back home, with her empty silver bucket. On returning home and going into her room, Amara drops the silver water bucket back to its original position. Amarachi barely looks away, and back into the silver water bucket and sees the fish again, and screamed in terror. Her grandmother and father come dashing into Amara's room, and see the fish right inside the silver water bucket. They watch it more carefully. I think you have to leave it for now, says Grandpa. Since you have tried returning it, and it came back on its own. You just keep watching it from time to time, says Grandpa. Grandfather and mother walks out of the room. The next 4 market days, Amarachi woke up and looked into the silver water bucket. Behold, the fish has disappeared. Amarachi checks the bucket carefully to see if the fish is hiding in a corner of the bucket. Amarachi sees a clay pot with a piece of paper writing inside it just beside the bucket. The note says, "Take care of yourself with the money and protect my pot, the wealth of Iziagwe Kingdom." Amarachi picks out all the money from inside the clay pot and observes them. They're all foreign currencies. Amarachi takes the money, arranges the pot very well in her safest corner of the room, and goes out. The next 4 market days. Amarachi sees another bunch of money in the pot. She took the money, cleans the pot, arranges it well, and leave. This continues every 4 market days, 4 months. These money transformed Amarachi's life, upgraded her dress code, appearances, and social status. Amarachi bought lands and built semi-detached duplex mansion in one of them. Life is good on Amarachi. Amarachi solved all her problems and turned her attention to the orphanages. Now she is only thinking of how go about visiting the motherless homes in her locality. The next day, she left for the 3-square motherless babies' home. Before Amarachi arrival, the Prince Nana was already in the orphanage on a visit to the children. Prince Nana is there with his own items for the orphanage. When Amarachi arrives in her car, with her personal driver, Amarachi has an air of royalty about her, which attracts everyone's attention, including Prince Nana and his savants. Amarachi's driver opens the car boot and offloads the expensive gifts before the orphanage staff, and gives an envelope of cash to the woman in charge. Prince Nana quietly watches Amarachi and her shows, feeling humbled. Amarachi got in her car, and the driver zooms off immediately. Amarachi appears to Prince Nana, a goddess who's really enchanted him. Prince Nana becomes restless, up till when he left the orphanage compound. Prince Nana is unable to talk, and refuses to eat for the remaining part of the day, much to the surprise of the king and queen. King Ofana summons the Prince Nana's savant and friend Uche, to inquire what really happened to Prince Nana. "There was an enchantment today, my king," says Uche. "It was an extraordinary thing at the orphanage home. A richly, well-dressed lady appeared like a goddess with expensive gifts and foreign currencies before us and disappeared like the wind." The king and queen nodded. "Go immediately, get informations about this lady and her family now," orders the queen. "We tried to get that information from the orphanage home, but she left without dropping any contact, and vanished without a trace. That is why I said it was not an ordinary show, Your Majesty." "What do you mean?" yells Queen Olachi. "There must be a way to find her and contact her. Find her, by every means necessary, and bring her before Your Majesty King Ofana." "Yes, Your Highness," says Uche, and moves off. Amarachi enjoys her weaving work, cause her works are always perfect and neat work. Hence, bringing her more and more customers. Obina, the young graduate, whose love for Amarachi is immeasurable, is now planning seriously with his parents to visit Amarachi's parents for introductions, because Obina believes that his parents' presence will help tempt Amarachi and his academic qualifications will help make them give Amarachi's hand in marriage with him. Now the official announcement of Prince Nana's selection of a maiden to marry as the next queen of Iziagwe Kingdom has been made by the royal council members, and the criteria are that the royal bloodlines will be considered first, before non-royal bloodlines. All the beautiful ladies who have been training and preparing for this royal position started showing off their beauties and rich wardrobes to the personnels assigned for the audition. There are so many beautiful ladies in the village, mixed feelings about who will eventually become queen dominated everyone's mind. Prince Nana has been restless because he has always frowned at the tradition that requires the prince to marry a total stranger just cause she possessed royal blood, and now his unrest could not be accommodated by the palace walls, so he goes to the garden to be alone. He paces from one end of the garden to the other. "Why can't I choose a wife for myself, just like other men?" wonders Prince Nana. "Why should my options be limited to whatever maidens this village can provide? Not to mention the idea of making a public spectacle of something as personal as my marriage." King Ofana and Queen Olachi watch Prince Nana as he restlessly pacing up and down and understand his emotions. Prince Nana finally sits on one of the garden benches. The king and queen approach and sit with him. "Son, I know what you are passing through right now," says King Ofana. "I walked down this same road, and felt the same way," he continues. "But at this point, you need to apply wisdom. Because one day, you will sit on the throne and declare judgments that will affect other people's lives. Don't marry only for beauty, one day beauty will fades. Don't marry for color, it fades as well. Marry because of your throne. So that one day, you will stand as I am now, to teach your son. You are now a man, so stand on your feet and face your responsibilities, 'cause they won't suddenly disappear. They're yours for the rest of your days, concludes King Ofana. Most of the noble families who have prepared their daughters for this honor of becoming the next queen started visiting the palace with gifts, plus notifications and updates about their daughters. The young ladies without contact inside the palace were walking up and down the palace road seeking informations. The entire kingdom was now a den of young beautiful maidens. On the day of the occasion proper, everything is going according to preparations. The royal council members are well dressed and seated. The servants go about their duties of attending to the visitors, while sentries and guards are unmounted in their posts, on high alert. The contesting maidens dressed in their separate attires stand in readiness for the procession to commence. King and Queen Ofana enter the scene and sit on their throne. King Ofana hails all of the attendees, and they all respond with loud ovation. Today is the appointed day, begins King Ofana. The day appointed for Prince Nana to choose one lucky maiden amongst you who is to become his bride and the next queen of our great kingdom. The crowd give out a louder ovation. Suddenly, the ovation is killed by a voice from afar shouting. Everyone turned to see whose voice was interrupting the celebrations. Behold, it was the oracle of the kingdom. O supreme ruler of Iziagwe kingdom, says Onu. May your days be long and prosperous, my king. Your majesty, continues Onu, days are gone, when cattle men did the work of spirits. The gods of Iziagwe want to work this time for the land. That is the message from the gods. The system has been changed. Right from the day the gods sent their treasure pot to our kingdom, Iziagwe. Look at the prince's face, does it bear the emotions of a man who is about to choose his bride? Is his face saying anything positive or joyous about this day? Prince Nana is embarrassed. The next queen of Iziag, continues Onu, must be the lady who is in possession of the Iziagwe treasure pot. Everybody become confused by the mention of a treasurer pot they've never heard of before. From this treasurer pot, says Onu, the kingdom of Iziagwe will rise from its ashes like a phoenix and become a mighty kingdom once again. So, which one of you here is the one in possession of the treasure pot, or knows the person in possession of the treasure pot? The next queen of Iziagwe will be known immediately the pot is seen. On that note, Onu turns and walks away, and the whole arena is engulfed with murmuring and whispers. One of the noblemen approaches King Ofana and begins to whisper in his ear. King Ofana gets up to address the attendees. My dear people of Iziagwe, I am as shocked and confused as you are, says King Ofana. But I and my council chiefs will meet and get to the bottom of this matter, and will have the town crier relay the conclusions and decisions of our discussion to you in the next market day. I thank all you beautiful maidens for your loyalty to the crown. Please go home now, and await our announcement.